Says we're live.
Hi, this is Jackie Grant from We Grant Fitness and Health, and this is the Change and Grow Wellness Show. And we're actually on a little bit earlier today by a couple of hours, and we've got even more exciting show for you today. Now, this show is powered by the amazing Men and Women Positive Program, and I'm your host, Jackie Grant, and I transform busy female professionals' hormones and habits without giving up chocolate and wine, calorie counting, and spending all your time in the gym. Now, today, our guest is Simon Wellsted, and we're going to talk to Simon about the fitness industry and why is the fitness industry failing. So we're going to have a good discussion about that with Simon. And Simon is a transformational coach and mentor and is the owner of Serving the Integrated Fit Pro. And he serves personal trainers, movement specialists like Pilates teachers, and he helps them with up-to-date evidence-based information about movement, exercise, and injuries. So welcome, Simon.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So good. So Simon, tell us a bit about you and why you do what you do.
It's a long story, so I'll keep it short for you. We will park the fact that I spent 25 to 30 years in the IT industry in a corporate world, and therefore at the end of 2013, I dumped that. Basically took the money and ran, and started up a clinic because I had previously trained as a soft tissue specialist, sports therapist, massage therapist, and I set up a clinic in a private gym in southwest London, and that's really where I started, and that's really where I started getting a bit frustrated with what I'm not necessarily the industry at this point, just frustrated with myself, really, because I don't like situations where I can't actually provide a robust and sustainable solution for my clients. And I sort of started looking into it a lot and realizing that it was actually very prevalent, that there's an expectation built into our clients that, sometimes they just keep on having to go back for maintenance and keep on having to go back to whoever it is they're seeing. It doesn't matter whether it's an exercise, fitness, movement, manual therapy, physical therapy profession. They sort of keep on having to go back every few weeks, every few months. And that to my mind was crazy. So I started looking out for the sort of movers and shakers in the industry that could help me understand this a lot more, hooked up with some of them. Some of them are now my mentors in the industry, to actually understand why that is. And I'm sort of building now an understanding of why that is and why, just to dive straight into it, why we actually need to be working together as an industry rather than as separate professionals. And that's really now what I do. I don't necessarily run a clinic these days, although I help out my clients in their clinics and their studios. I now just coach professionals to understand where they fit in, the bigger picture into which they fit, because they're all doing great stuff out there. But actually, when they start to realise where they fit into the bigger picture and how working alongside and with other professionals, they can get even better results for their clients. And at the end of the day, I hope I'm right in saying that we're all in this business to get results for our clients.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, you've touched on a little bit about why you think the fitness industry is failing. So just tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so it comes down to this bigger picture. We know that the vast majority of people that engage with the fitness industry, the exercise industry, personal trainers, gyms, or Pilates teachers or movement therapy specialists in that space, or manual therapists like massage therapists, or even physios and osteopaths and chiropractors do so because they have a problem they want solving. They might want to just move better, they might want to get fitter, they might want to lose weight, they might want to put on weight, or they might have a knee problem or a back problem or something that they're going to see this professional to solve. And they don't necessarily, we can't expect our clients to understand this, but actually, in order to solve the vast majority of problems that our clients come to us to solve, actually needs all of those professionals working together. Okay, even just going to the gym to lose weight, there's a part of that that can be done and helped by a sports massage therapist who understands this bigger picture. So what they can, for example, work out what exercises are going to be right for that individual. Yeah, rather than just giving people exercises and waiting to see what happens. Does this work? Does it not? We can actually begin to work out what's right for that individual right at the very beginning. So that's a core place where there's integration that can take place. Yeah. If somebody actually has a problem, like they're going to Pilates with a back problem, or they're going to see a massage therapist with a knee problem, back problem, shoulder problem, whatever it might be, there's a point in their, I'm going to use the word rehab. It sort of has connotations, but it's the best word I can use at the moment. In their program of work to get back to where they want to be, there's an element that needs not only that soft tissue therapist, but also an exercise specialist as well. Somebody who's qualified in movement and exercise. I'm not qualified as movement and exercise. I'm a sports therapist. I'm a sports massage therapist. At no time did I ever get any instruction on exercise and fitness, or explain the benefits of actually going and seeing an exercise specialist. And it's understanding that journey that we all consult these professionals to solve, professionals to understand the journey and therefore where they fit in and where they need to either integrate with or advise they go to see another specialist, like an exercise specialist. Okay, and because it's that missing element of collaboration, integration, joined up working that is causing people to have to go back and see the professionals over and over again. Okay, and it starts with something as innocuous as muscle tightness. We go to the gyms or we go to Pilates. Most of us have got muscles that are not working like we would like them to. They're tight or they're weak or something. That actually needs the interventions of not only the exercise specialist, but also the soft tissue specialist as well to help sort that out. Otherwise, they're just going to keep on bouncing back and forth or keep on getting that same problem. And so in essence, I use the word failing because we're failing our clients, in my opinion. If a client keeps on having to come to see me as a massage therapist every 3 months because they've got tight hamstrings or tight shoulders, then I'm failing because, as far as I'm concerned, they should come to see me for a set of treatments and then go away and they're done, they're sorted. And it's entirely possible to have that happen. But right now, because when I was running my clinic, I didn't actually have this knowledge that I now have. If I was able to dovetail what I was doing in a slightly different way, slightly modified to be fair, but basically what I was doing, and also involve another professional like a Pilates specialist or a movement specialist or a personal trainer at the right time in their rehab, I'll use that word again, then they wouldn't be coming back either at all or certainly not as frequently as they would today. So that's why I say we are failing our clients because we're not doing this integration that is so important.
Okay. So when you say, because I can see it in terms of like if someone has, in terms of their ongoing, you might then say to someone, maybe you need to work with a Pilates teacher because your back or your posture or whatever. But like when you say about someone in terms of like weight loss, so for instance, someone comes to me and they want to lose weight.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, they've got 4 stone to lose, for instance. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to work with them around their nutrition and around their exercise individually to them. Yeah. So at what point am I thinking, right, I should work with someone else for that client? Because the client's, first point is their weight loss, and that's all they're thinking about. All they're thinking, want to lose weight. So yeah, talk me through that.
Okay, so let's park the nutritional side of it for a moment, because that's not my speciality. It's yours, but not mine.
Sure.
Let's focus on the exercise piece. Okay. We give somebody exercises right now, but we don't necessarily know whether they're the right exercises for that individual. Okay. There is what I train my clients to do is actually understand that, work out what exercises are going to be right for that individual, and what exercises right now, based on their body, are not going to be right for that individual. Okay, so if we don't do that, the chances of us hitting one of the exercises that isn't quite right for that individual today is quite high. So if you can know that up front, and the professional can work that out themselves, or they can go and find a suitably qualified soft tissue therapist who can do this as well. Or let's just call it another professional. Okay, they can work out, okay, so right now this client wants to lose weight. We're going to give them an exercise program, but right now exercises A, B, and C are not going to be right for their body, but D, E, and F will be fine. So build an exercise program around D, E, and F, not A, B, and C. They're going to actually, those exercises are going to work better. They're going to be more effective. The clients are going to lose their weight quicker because they're doing exercises that are right for that body. Okay.
Right.
And so that's one of the models which I coach my professionals to do, is actually seek, when you take on a new client as a fitness professional, one of the sort of value adds you can offer on maybe a higher cost program is to say, right, as far as our working together is concerned, what I do is I get this other professional in who doesn't matter what they are, who's got this knowledge and skill set, to work out what is going to be right for your body right now and what's not going to be right for your body right now, because that gives me, I'm the PT talking here, the opportunity to design the most effective exercise program for you and your body today, which means you're going to get better results, quicker results, faster results, more resilient results. Okay, because if we're going to use exercise as a basis of weight loss, we need to be doing the right exercises. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
So for instance, like you're saying, obviously you'd have to make that a higher program, because obviously you're getting that person in who obviously you're going to have to, if it's part of your program, you have to pay that person for that element. But what would you say would be the best person that would be doing that kind of assessment for, say, a PT, for instance?
I've trained PTs to do it themselves.
Cool.
Okay. I've trained Pilates instructors and specialists to do it themselves, and I've also trained massage therapists to do it. Okay. My colleague Christina runs a soft tissue sports therapy clinic in a gym. Okay, and therefore there's PTs there. Okay. She's beginning to build integration products where it's not a case of them booking in to see her for a massage. There are things she can actually go and do which don't require any clothes being removed or anything like that out on the gym floor. And she's already doing this with some of the PT clients, going out there and helping clients who are struggling with exercise, who've hit these barriers because they're doing an exercise that may be not quite right for their body right now. She can go out there, do some very simple assessment stuff. Okay, it doesn't require any clothes removal, and she does it there and then, lying on a mat or lying on the floor. She can work out, okay, what you were doing isn't quite right for your body right now. Then they'll get the PT involved, or the PT might be observing here, and they have that conversation that says, can you adjust your program, your exercise program for this client that doesn't involve this exercise right now? Okay, now, in this particular instance, Christina's doing that for the PT. There's actually no reason why that PT can't have this skill set and knowledge themselves. And I've talked to PTs as well. If they don't have a readily available other professional to call on, then there's no reason why they can't do it. It's a personal choice. Yeah.
Okay. So because that's good, because in terms of that, trying to get someone in and doing all that, there might be a delay. you know, in someone starting and all that kind of thing. So it's good that you've said that people can actually learn it themselves, and then they have that skill set, and then actually it gives them a higher value in terms of what they're giving their clients, because you are much more professionally qualified to make sure that the exercises are there for the person, you know, change them for that person at the right time, basically. You know, so the person might not be able to do it at one point, but later on they might be able to do that exercise. So that's really, really interesting.
The converse model is equally true. When somebody goes to see Christina as a soft tissue therapist, or came to see me as a soft tissue therapist when I ran in my clinic, there was a point at which, once I understood this, there was a point at which in what I was doing with them, I needed to say, now I'm going to come out into the gym and let's talk to the PT, because what I'd like you to do is work with them for the next few days to do A, B, and C, to bed in the work that I've done. I've done some soft tissue work on your body, but doing soft tissue work on your body is not going to be permanent. It's only a temporary solution unless we do work out in the gym. And it doesn't have to be on equipment or anything. It can be simple motor control work in the gym on very simple equipment, on mats and stuff like that. That's not a so. But once I understood this, I was able to take them out to the gym and say, "Hi, Mr. PT, can you work with this client for the next 3 or 4 days or this week? And what I'd like you to do is this type of exercise to bed in and make more permanent the changes that I've effected using soft tissue work." So, as I say, I'm not an exercise specialist. I can employ them and say, now in this particular case, of course, the clients coming to see me were members of the gym. So going out into the gym and consulting a personal trainer or an exercise professional on the floor of the gym was not a problem, okay? Because they were already a member of the gym. They had access to that professional staff. But I was the catalyst to say, right, what you now need is to go and work with a personal trainer in this particular case, because I've done some change work. I've changed your muscles in this way, but to make that more permanent and make it more effective, I need you to go and do some exercise work. So let's take you outside, introduce you to a PT, and they can help you with some exercises you can do to build up what I've done. So it works both ways.
Yeah, so that's amazing, because it really, the integration seems like it's really important for not only the personal trainer in terms of increasing their, you know, because it could increase their income because they've got this extra skill, but also the quality of what the client's getting, the quality of the service that the client's getting is even better.
Yep.
You know,
and it changes the perceptions of the client straight away about that particular venue, that particular gym, that particular studio, that particular clinic. It gives them a reason to recommend it. That establishment stands out from the crowd as doing something different, doing something that others are not doing. Okay, and that's got to be a good thing for the businesses themselves. Whether it's an independent personal trainer who just happens to be hiring time in a gym to a bigger establishment, it doesn't really matter.
It's important. So, I mean, I know that in terms of, you know, your thoughts about this whole issue is around how this affects clients and the client's perception and understanding of, you know, some of the labels that are given out in terms of, you know, personal trainers and, you know, movement specialists and practices. And what are some of those labels, and what are the perceptions that people are receiving?
Okay, labels is one of my pet topics, as you well know. The starting point here is labels like tightness and weakness. Okay, most people have got what we might term tight muscles, tight hamstrings, tight hip flexors, whatever, and they've probably got weak muscles as well. Normally, things like weak glutes, which is a very common one. I know that personal trainers and exercise professionals come across a lot. Unfortunately, those terms are not particularly helpful to anybody because they don't actually mean anything. Okay, Tightness and weakness are exactly the same thing. They are change. Something has happened to change those muscles to not work effectively. And those changes is what we need to know how to work out. And that's what I teach professionals to work out. So just because they've got tight hamstrings doesn't mean they should be being stretched, or in the case of a soft tissue therapist, released. Okay?
Yeah.
Because they've got weak glutes doesn't mean those glutes should be activated in conditions and strengthened. Okay? That can lead to this bounce of the problem getting better for a short period of time and then just returning. Okay? So what I do right at the very beginning is reframe people's understanding of labels like tightness and weakness. There are others as well, but tightness and weakness are the two that we're not going to stop our clients using those terms. You know, no. That's not going to happen overnight, but we can help the professionals say, okay, so you've got really tight hamstrings or really tight hip flexors or really weak glutes. Let's work out what to do. Okay. And then once they've got the knowledge of how to work out what change has taken place in those muscles to give that symptom, tightness and weakness are nothing more than symptoms. Okay. But as I said, they're the same. They are. Tightness and weakness equals change. And the key here is working out what that change is and what's happened, because that will define what needs to be done to reverse it. Okay. Which might involve just exercise, but more commonly actually would involve a combination of soft tissue work and exercise to sort that tightness out robustly and sustainably. So another opportunity to integrate. So a PT, so you go and see a PT, he realizes that you've got weak glutes or tight hamstrings or whatever, just to use the terminology that the client would use. Okay. This is an example of what exercises might not be right for that client right now. Hamstring stretching or glute activation and strengthening work might not be right for that client right now because it's actually not tight or weak. It's a change that's happened to those muscles, and we need to be doing the right exercises to reverse that change, which isn't always stretching and conditioning.
Right.
Okay, something completely different, which we talk about on our coaching. So again, that skill set can be given to a personal trainer, a Pilates specialist, or a clinical therapist. It doesn't really matter. But if you take those labels away and say, this client has symptoms of these muscles are not working properly, okay, not that one's tight and that one's weak, but these set of muscles are not working properly, then go through a process of working out why they're not working properly, i.e. what has changed in those muscles to give those symptoms of tightness or weakness. Then we're in a far better position to then give the right exercises to that person. Yeah? So it all ties in with the what's right for that individual right now. Okay, which starts with the most common things that we all have. Heaven forbid I've got them. I know that I've got tight hamstrings. But I understand why my hamstrings are tight, and I can manage that. I never ever stretch my hamstrings, but I do other things, not as often as I should. But then we're always the worst for that, aren't we? But if you can educate a client, if that PT can then educate that client to say, yes, you've got tight hamstrings, or yes, you've got weak glutes, but actually I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing, which is either stretching them or activating them or strengthening them or whatever, then that client's going to get a better result out of that professional. Okay. The same applies to, well, I'm just going to use the loose word core. Okay, there's no such thing as a weak core. Okay, what there is a bunch of muscles which make up the core are not working properly.
Yeah, a lot of people say that to me. It's so funny because as soon as you said it, and I was like, yeah, I've heard so many people say it, but I don't kind of respond to that because that's the interpretation they have of what it is.
And that's fine. The client can have that interpretation. That's absolutely fine. Exactly. But as a professional, what my mission is to stop people using these labels like tightness and weakness, because they don't actually, as I write in my Facebook group, tight does not equal stretch and release. Weak does not equal strength and condition. Yeah, work out what's going on and why, and then apply the right intervention for what's going on and why, rather than saying A plus B equals C. A equals tightness, B equals stretching equals, okay, we've now got looser hamstrings. Doesn't always work. Okay, I guess there's going to be people listening to this and watching this that have clients with tight hamstrings. They do something, probably stretching, okay, and it alleviates it for a short period of time, but actually the next time they come into the gym, their hamstrings are just as tight again. That's the reason why they keep on coming back with those tight hamstrings. It's because it's not tightness that requires stretching. It's a change to the muscle that requires something else to be done to it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one thing I wanted to ask you, was because we had this conversation, and I'm sure that this would be really, really helpful to a lot of PTs, because ever since you told me that, this was a few years ago, I can't even remember, it was a few years ago, you said to me about foam rollers, right? Yeah. And your thoughts on foam rollers. So let's tell our audience all about foam rollers, because ever since then I don't use them. Go on.
Okay. Right. Well, let's start with the fact that there's actually no scientific evidence that foam rolling works or doesn't work. Okay, that's the starting point. But there are two parts of the body that you should never ever use a foam roller on. Okay, absolutely guaranteed. You should never. Okay, one is the calf muscles. Okay, and the other is the IT band. Okay, so I'm not going to stand here and say don't do any ever foam rolling on the back or glutes or whatever you use foam rolling on. Okay, because I'm not qualified to make that judgment call. And in actual fact, there's no science out there that says it one way or the other. But what there is science to say is don't foam roll the calf muscles and don't foam roll the IT band. You're doing damage to the tissues when you do that. So does that help?
It does help. It does help, because I think it's a really useful one, because I see people all the time, even when I'm doing my own gym session, I see them all the time using it on the calf and IT band. So it's really important that people get to know that information, especially, like, I know there's PTs and Pilates teachers and all kinds of teachers on my that are my friends on Facebook. So that's really important. So Simon, thank you.
It's all right.
Have you got any final words then? I was going to say, have you got any final words? Thank you for coming on. And have you got any final words that you'd like to give?
No, I've mentioned. Is it all right to talk about my Facebook group at this point?
I was gonna tell. That's my next question. Okay, go ahead.
That's all right, because I'm sure there'll be people screaming at this if they're watching it, basically screaming at me saying, no, he's talking a load of rubbish or anything. And I'm absolutely happy. And I'm absolutely happy to have a conversation with anybody who wants to talk to me. That's not a problem. I'm not here setting myself up as a god on this. I'm basically giving out information, and I love talking to people. So if anybody wants to come and have a chat with me over a coffee or online like this, I'm totally happy to do that. So because the more we can have this discussion and debate, okay, the better. Yeah. So I'm a talker. I love talking to professionals about this stuff, whether they agree with me or not. I'm not precious about it. But the most important thing we need to do is to get this discussion out there. Yeah. If we keep the lid on it and we don't talk about it, then it's never going to change. So all I would say to people is talk about it, which opens up the question of the Facebook group, because I run a Facebook group where we do talk about this stuff. Okay. And that's really, it's a totally free Facebook group, but it's only for professionals, professional exercise, professionals of exercise, movement, manual therapy, like sports therapy, massage therapy, etc. And there's yoga people in there as well, and other things, but it's only for professionals. And we can talk. I give away a lot of my content in there. There's about 18 months worth of free content in there. There's some live streams in there. There's videos in there. There's loads of stuff, but more importantly, there's a community of about 450 people, and you can basically, we chat and we talk. And that's the most important thing. And the access route to that Facebook group is via my website. Okay.
Brilliant.
which is theintegratedfitpro.com. Go to theintegratedfitpro.com, and there's all the information about the group, how to join the group. There's some freebies on there, couple of ebooks and samplers stuff on there. There's some blogs on there which you can go and read. It's all, and I just give away a lot of this stuff for free because I just want to get people talking about it, and that's my passion.
Brilliant. So Simon, in terms of like, if someone was a personal trainer and they wanted, or Pilates or whatever, and they wanted to do the course, how long is the course and for? How many?
Great question. I don't do courses. Okay.
Right.
What I have is is what I call my breakthrough event, which is a half-day event, which we take people through how to start to work out what muscles are doing and why, and what exercises might be right and wrong for a given client. And that's where we start. We sort of throw away the tightness and weakness labels, replace it with something. It's a half-day event, and I tend to run those once a month. Okay, the next one's on the 16th of March. They're down south at the moment. I'm hoping to run some further up north later in the year. They're in West Sussex at a place called Haywards Heath. And it's a half day on a Saturday. So it runs from about 12 till 4 to give people a chance to have a lie-in on a Saturday morning and get back to the family before the evening. So all the details of that are on my website and in the Facebook group, but that's where we start. From that, pretty well I work the way anybody wants to work. I work with professionals individually. I work with professionals in small groups, teams of people, for example. I love going into a studio and working with maybe half a dozen professionals in that studio and taking their level of knowledge up, because then they all get to experience it themselves in one way. So that's how I like to work, rather than just running training courses.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, the breakthrough event is say monthly, roughly monthly, 6 weekly sometimes, and we just take you through pretty well everything I've talked about today, really, about throwing away the labels, why we need to throw away the labels, and then we do a lot of practical stuff which demonstrates. You can actually feel it and see it and actually realize that, tightness isn't everything it's cracked up to be, weakness isn't everything it's cracked up to be. There are different flavors or different reasons for, and we explore that on this half day. And if people want to take it further, to actually be able to do all the assessment stuff themselves, we just work in the way they want to work. You can come out to your premises and do it with you as a coaching day, or 2 or 3 or 4 coaching days. It really depends on what people want to work, how people want to work. So I don't put on prescriptive training courses for that reason.
Brilliant. That's great, Simon. So thank you very much for being on today. It's been great that information, really getting that information out there to other fit pros so that they can, serve their clients better and also make their service more of a success. So thank you very much. So guys, make sure that you go over to Simon's Facebook group, or over to his Facebook, or even his website, and connect with him so that you can find out a little bit more about what Simon does and how he can help you to better serve your clients. So guys, take care. That's from We Grant Fitness and Health, and this was the Change and Grow Wellness Show.